Hey everyone, welcome back to Ceeve Podcast. I'm Ale, and together with Simo, we are the co-founders of Ceeve, the body that helps students and early career people find the opportunities in the coolest startup across Europe and beyond. Today, we have a really exciting guest, Rhiannon Hayes, head of marketing at Kiku. And Rhiannon, welcome. We are super happy to have you here.
Hi, great. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, Rhiannon, let's start with your story and what you did in your background. Especially, can you
Yeah.
please give us your story? What did you studied and what did it led you to go to Kiku?
Ooh, wow. That's, first of all, a long time ago, so I'll have to throw my mind back. Yeah, so I studied English literature originally at university. So even though Kiku, we're a Copenhagen-based startup, you can probably guess from the accent that I'm from the UK originally. So yeah, I studied English literature at Cardiff University. And honestly, after university, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So my first job was just the first grad job I could find. And I started working for a mobile phone distribution company. They're part of the 2020 group. I think they're called Likewise now. And really kind of just fell into a lot of like sales roles. And from there started getting interested in marketing. And I was really lucky that my first boss, a guy called Jim, was a very strong advocate of mine, and helped me get my next job, which was at a smartphone manufacturer. They bought the rights for Nokia mobile phones globally. So I worked for them for a couple of years, and that's where I kind of transitioned into marketing, really working with a lot of telecommunications companies, so like O2 Telefonica, Vodafone, people like that, to kind of promote Nokia's phones across the UK and Ireland. And then that led me to my next role at Google, where I was working on Android partnerships across Europe. Did that for a couple of years, really enjoyed it, and then decided that I wanted to move into something that felt a little bit more meaningful and a little bit more connected to my personal values. At that point, I was really passionate about marketing, so I knew that I wanted to stay in marketing roles. So I moved over to an electric vehicles team at an energy company, a utility company called OVO Energy. Worked there, unfortunately, an energy crisis. So
Yeah,
I ended up
not perfect timing.
leaving that team. It wasn't great timing, no. So yeah, the team kind of didn't really have much budget. We weren't really sure what we were doing. And then a really exciting Danish startup reached out to me called Monta. So I ended up moving over there to lead their kind of UK marketing growth, which then led me to Denmark. And then I ended up having a chat with Eric and with Rasmus almost a year ago now, about what they were building at Kiku and how they wanted someone to come in and kind of grow marketing from the ground up. And that's how I ended up where I am. So a very long story, but a very wiggly career path, I would say. But yeah, a very fun journey. I've enjoyed every minute of it so far.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for so. And yeah, and then maybe like let's jump on Kiku first, just to maybe give like a more like general context. What do you do? Like, if you can tell us about the product.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kiku is really designed to make filling high volume roles easier. And by that, I don't just mean easier for the teams actually recruiting for those roles, I also mean for the candidates. So what we see right now in the marketplace, and I'm sure this is something that you guys are really aware of as well, is that candidates apply for a role. A lot of the time they are also using AI to apply for those roles because they need to apply for a lot of roles to really get a job. So candidates will apply for a role. They're not super attached to a role because they know that it's kind of a numbers game at the moment. There's a high chance that their CV isn't going to be seen. So they're applying for lots of jobs. They're throwing their CVs out there. They're really trying a lot to get a job. And so they're super frustrated with it because they're working really hard. They're not really hearing back from people. And it's a very negative candidate experience. And then inside the companies, you have TA teams, which are working with, reduced headcount, reduced budgets. They're opening roles. They're getting hundreds of applicants coming in. They're trying their best to sort through these CVs. They're calling candidates who then maybe have got another job, or they don't even remember applying for this job. So they're working really hard to try and fill the role, but it's taking them a really long time because they have this huge pile of CVs to work through, and not enough manpower to really do that in an effective way. So it's not great for anyone, right? You've got the TA team struggling, you've got the candidates struggling. So what Kiku does is that we use AI to kind of speed up that first stage, from application through to the end of the first round interview. And we use AI to really kind of review that application, to then contact the candidate as soon as they apply. They get either a WhatsApp, an SMS, or an email inviting them to a screening interview. And that interview really asks them questions that are super relevant to the role, like, are you available to work weekends? Or, do you have experience doing customer service, for example? So you get a lot more detail than you would do from just a CV application, which means that candidates can then actually really sell themselves properly and, put their best foot forward for the role. And then what the recruiters get is a really nice kind of summary of an interview. They get a candidate scoring, so they get advice kind of on who might be a best candidate to schedule a follow-up interview with. And the candidates, most importantly, they feel like they're progressing through the application process. So they don't feel like they've just chucked a CV into a void and they're never going to hear back. They know whether they are really relevant for a role because we all know when you've given a good interview or not. And so it's a much better candidate experience. We find that candidates score 96% in terms of their satisfaction with the platform. And then recruiters get that really nice short list of candidates that they can then, the next day they can come into work and they can start calling those candidates and say, we saw your screening interview. We really liked your answers. We'd love to bring you in for the next round interview.
Yeah, sure. As a student, we can relate the fact that probably we feel like that the job hunting is like a number game and trying to throw CV into the void. But as you said, it's a frustrating game. But I think Kiku is helping us a lot, also in this term. But then, how do you compare Kiku as a normal ATS, for example? Is it like something way better, or like how do you feel that?
Yeah, so we're kind of an add-on to an ATS. We're not trying to replace an ATS at all. Mainly because a lot of, recruiters have spent a lot of time building those ATSs. They're very integrated within their workflows, and kind of removing that would be incredibly disruptive to their businesses. And to be honest with you, probably take years in a lot of really established companies. No one's got time for that. This problem is too urgent. So what we do is we integrate with each of those ATSs so that we can kind of add on to the workflows that recruiters already have, and add that extra intelligence layer. So, and again, because we use AI, what we can do is take all of that kind of unstructured data that you would get from a screening interview, and then push that back as structured data into the ATS that then the recruiters can actually use to inform their process. It's kind of an assistant that sort of superpowers the ATS rather than anything that looks to replace it at all.
Okay, yeah, like makes sense. But then, like, in terms of like what, like you were talking about clients, and I can imagine, like, sometimes, like as Simo was saying, like we're students, we are applying to jobs, so we kind of like know the other side maybe, and we know that like sometimes, like you see also in the application, they say we as a company we decide to not use any AI or any like technology. Like there are human beings checking your like application. Do you think that's like kind of like a limit for you? Like, does it happen that clients come to you and say, like we still prefer to be human first, which like I think like it's that's not a solution like in that case. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think there should ever be roles that are hired for where there's not a human involved, right? We all need to, there always needs to be somebody really, checking those processes, making sure that no mistakes are made, making sure that no one's kind of dropped out of the process that shouldn't have. And it's also really important for employer brand as well. We all build relationships when we talk to each other. We had a chat before this podcast started, which helped us build a little bit of rapport. So it's really important part of employer brand that recruiting teams get to speak to candidates. But right now, with this kind of vast amount of applications that they get, they don't actually get to speak to candidates that much. So what we're trying to do is sort of speed up some of the more kind of admin heavy parts of the role, that really laborious sort of first part of the application and the hiring journey, so that then recruiting teams get that time back so that they can actually call those candidates for the first round interview, spend time with them, get to know them, and really understand them deeply. So I know it sounds odd, but I think that AI in this scenario brings back some humanity to that application process.
True. Honestly, also like having that standard email receiving at 4 a.m. it feels like also frustrating. Also that, so that's amazing, and having also AI giving us some personalized responses, even if it's written by AI. I think it feels like way better than before. Then you said that you had an amazing journey from Google to an electric vehicle company. So and also you got into a startup. So basically, what are the main differences that you feel in your roles in these kind of companies from a normal company that is, for example, a big company like Google, and then into a startup? What are the main differences in these two companies?
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day, really. I think personally, and that's why I've continued to build my career in startups. I recognize that they are more challenging environments, they're more stressful environments, they are faster paced environments. But I think for me, that appeals to my personality type and the way that I like to work. But the flip side of kind of I guess those are the negative sides of it. The positive sides of it is that you get a lot of ownership. You get a lot of kind of accountability and responsibility. My remit at Kiku is really building out the entire kind of marketing approach. But that doesn't mean that I just stop at marketing, I'm doing everything from kind of the execution all the way through to the strategy, getting involved in our go-to-market strategy, inputting to our product. And it's the same with everyone else, right? They also input to all of my work. We all work together to make sure that our functions work in the way that they need to. And I think for me, that's super interesting. I like to have knowledge of everything that's going on and have my fingers in all of the activity that we're doing right now. So yeah, I think it's a really positive environment if you're someone who's very naturally curious and really likes to work with a bunch of very smart people to solve a really important problem. Startups to me are the quickest way to do that.
Yeah, and then like I have like a curiosity because like we are also into like startups, and like sometimes like what they say is that like startups maybe are like a bit like unstructured. So like I don't know if
Yeah.
like we can like ask you like what does like your typical day look like as a like head of marketing at Kiku? Like do you do like a cold shower at 5 a.m. and then you start with a run and then like you go in a co-working space, so it's a bit different compared to that.
No, not at all. Definitely no 5
Okay.
a.m. wake up calls for me. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, we're all we're a bunch of very passionate and driven people, but I don't think that exists in in teams that work well together. I don't think that kind of work exists. But yeah, for me, honestly, it's waking up at a at a normal time. I'm like a 7:30 a.m. Any earlier than that, no, that's wrong. And then walk to work a lot of the mornings. So I have a dog. She comes to the office with me. So I walk her into work so we can kind of get some fresh air, get to thinking about problems on the way. Normally I'll have a podcast on the go, either something about marketing, something about AI and tech, or there's a couple of really great HR tech podcasts. And then when I get into the office, it's kind of catching up on that to-do list for the day and figuring out, where am I at with the challenges for the week? Has anything new come up that we need to deal with? And really just working on the plan, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and then like, but in terms of like as a startup, because like I think there's still like structure, like I don't know if you have like some like meetings that you do, like maybe not every day, but like every week, like with the rest of the team to know like to be everyone on the same page, and then like you start from there, or like it's
Yeah.
always like more like the priority of the day, you work on that, and then the day after it's tomorrow, like you don't have to think now.
Yeah, so we have a couple of really important touch points for us every single week. So every week we kick off on Mondays with a team-wide all hands. That's where we kind of go through where are we at performance-wise for the week, what happened last week that was either positive or negative, what was we go through any deals that we're working on right now, anywhere that the team needs to jump in and support. And then we also go through kind of what are our core priorities, like what do we want to achieve this week as a team. And that's our all hands on every Monday. And then we do something every Wednesday, which is kind of more, I guess, more cultural, but I think for me it's a really important moment, and I try not to miss it, is Wednesday Wins Coffees. So we go out every Wednesday, we go for a walk together, we take a cup of coffee, and we talk about our wins for the week. So that's anything that happened that was positive. And the reason that that's so important to us culturally is because, again, in that startup environment, it's really easy to get lost in the swirl of like, what are we doing? What are we working on? What are we achieving? And it's really nice every week to just take half an hour to step back and just celebrate what we've achieved, because that keeps us going, that keeps us motivated, and keeps everyone engaged. So those are kind of our two most important touch points. And then, for myself personally, at the beginning of every week, I like to sit down on Monday morning and just make a big list of like, what am I going to talk about in the all hands? And then what are those priorities going to be? And then share them out with the rest of the team if there's anything that I need people's support on. Because it is, I think it's very easy to work collaboratively in a startup environment because we're a small team, everyone's here, everyone's getting stuck in. But it also means that if everyone's involved in a lot of projects, then you need to be aligned to make sure that people are actually able to work on their own things as well as the areas that you need their support on too.
Amazing. Okay, Kiku is, as you said, is an AI company reshaping how the recruiting is think about people, especially students also. But as a head of marketing, are you usually using AI in your daily basis, or and where are you using it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to give you context, my marketing team is myself, and then I have another part-time employee who works in marketing. But even though we are, 1.5 people, we have a full marketing stack working. So we produce content, we produce and run ads, we have a fully functional website, we are driving leads, we're running events, we're running webinars, we have, not everything, but we have a lot of marketing activity on the go. And a lot of that is driven by AI. So, we use AI to support our content production. We use AI to support us with a lot of workflows in the background. We have a lot of our kind of go-to-market structure automated so that we can, when we gather leads, we have nurture flows set up. So there's a lot of really amazing things that we can do that honestly means that I can be more productive now as a team, as a small team, than I have done previously in my career as part of big teams and, running larger teams. So I think it's an incredibly useful tool. And again, still to be used with caution. When I say that we use it to kind of help with our content, we don't use it to just like create all of our content and no one ever looks at it. I think it's really important that there's still someone with a creative brain and with, human phrasing who can come in and really look at that content and make sure that it's reflective of who we are and what we want to say, rather than just kind of letting AI run everything. So I think, yes, I'll use it a lot, but also with discretion on some activities.
Yeah, I think it's a similarity to what Kiku is doing with recruiting. Basically, you are elevating the recruiting system instead of replacing it at all. So it's amazing. And then, as head of head of marketing, how do you deal? And do you deal with customers, or do you like have a more back end role?
Yeah, absolutely. No, so I'll jump in and kind of support at events and any kind of face-to-face interactions with customers. One, because I like doing it. It's fun for me. It's sort of a step back into my sales role. But two, it's also because for me, good marketing can't be created without knowing who your customer is. And the best way to know who your customer is to talk to them. So I love being able to get to events, to talk to customers face to face, to also talk to our existing customers, on weekly catch-ups, or when we're with their customer success. And I also really love the moment of being able to build a case study with a customer, because that is the moment where you really get to dig into the weeds and understand the problem that you've solved for them and how they're feeling about it and what they want next. So yeah, I love any opportunity to speak to customers, because every single time I leave with a little nugget of something that I'm like, okay, now I need to tweak this message. Now I need to tweak this story. And it helps hone my marketing output so much better when I have that customer's input.
And like I have like a curiosity because like we are a bit startup nerd, and like in YC,
Yeah.
in Y Coimierto, they usually say that you have to do like things that are not scalable when you are a startup, which like means that like for instance, like what you were saying, like talking with customers, making from a customer conversation a case study kind of. Do you think like that's actually true, or it's just like a nice way of saying uh that like maybe I don't know, like that there is a less structure, that you have to do kind of everything. Like, do you think it's true or not?
That you need to do things that are less scalable, do you mean?
Yeah, less scalable. Like to like in a early stage startup, like usually you have to really focus on things that you would not like. Also, like for Kiku, you are a AI driven company, kind of like, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe you think that everything should be automated, like everything should be done by agents. But then, like as you were saying before, what's important, it's also like talking with real customers, having like maybe long conversation with them to understand why they decide to go with your product, why they decide to not go with your product. So, like, do you agree with that point, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think for marketing, I think it's an interesting balance to try and kind of thread at the moment. So what we see, and obviously you guys will see this as well, we see a lot of kind of content right now. AI has sort of made it so that it's easier than ever to scale marketing, and it's easier than ever to kind of put content out there, and get it in front of people. But the quality has dropped significantly, right? Like we're all used to reading emails that feel AI generated. We're used to reading blog posts that feel AI generated. We're used to seeing imagery that's obviously AI generated. And that creates that kind of fatigue. So for me, there's a fine line between doing something that's really scalable and that you can deliver with a small team, and also just doing things that aren't scalable. Like, yeah, going to an event and having a booth, and it burns a lot of time and a lot of money as well, let's be honest. But actually what you get out of that is a lot of customer insight and information. You also get to build those relationships face to face, which are growing more and more important in B2B marketing in particular. And you also get to, kind of really physically put yourself in customers in a way that's very authentic and very real and very undeniable. Which again, maybe it's someone who's seen your ads, and even if they are really high quality, that moment can sometimes be the thing that kind of tips them over the edge into becoming a prospect and becoming someone who may buy from your business. So for me, it's always about a mix. I think, yeah, we have to do the scalable things, but we also have to do the things that aren't scalable as well to ensure that we're making the traction that we need to.
Amazing. I mean, okay. The scale that you want to reach, Kiku is very large, and you want to build, I think, a good company, also with 4 millions of investments. But like, how do you see the company in 24 months, and what are the next steps of Kiku?
I mean, that's really hard to say right now, to be honest with you. We are, yeah, I mean, we're a very new company still in a very, I mean, HR tech is a very established market, but it's really going through a period of change right now with AI. So I think it's hard for anyone to make clear bets about where the market's going. And for us, the goal right now is really staying agile, serving our customers, and really making sure that we're building a product that we're proud of and that we believe solves the problem that we set out to solve. So we're very much right now focused on our own direction and our own trajectory. And yeah, we'll see in 12 to 24 months if that pays off. Which I'm sure it will.
But then, like, do you think that, like, maybe expanding like some tools also for the like the like not students, but like people that like candidates that are trying to get a job? Do you think that maybe it can make sense to also focus on that target customer, or for now, like B2B is the main one, and we want to stay with that, be the best there, and then maybe in the future going somewhere else?
Yeah, I think to me the most important thing from growing any startup is focus. It's really, yeah, I think there's so many exciting businesses that you can create right now. Again, accelerated with AI, that makes it even more accessible, right? It allows non-technical people to kind of start creating things. But to me, the key to building something really successful is being really clear on that vision of what you want to do, why you want to do it, and who you want to do it for. So for us, that's really high volume recruitment for for businesses that are hiring both a high volume of roles, but also getting a high volume of applicants. That's who we're laser focused on helping right now.
Yeah, makes sense. Totally makes sense. And then like just one quick question before like maybe jumping to
Mm-hmm.
like the conclusion. Wanting to know like I know like as a startup like fundraising is like a key part of the like building a company. And how do you deal with that? Like I don't know if you maybe were directly involved or not. And like no, okay, so maybe
No,
yeah,
so I joined, the month that we closed our fundraising round. So I wasn't involved in the first one, but I'm sure any future fundraise
yeah,
we do, then I'll be there. So
yeah.
we can come back and do it again then.
Yeah, of course, we will do that episode too, so it's fine. No worries for that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, I think now, like, we can maybe, like, I don't know if Simo wants to like jump in the last part of the episode.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay. Maybe in the last part we can like focus more on the advice that you can give to other candidates or to other people that wants to build a career like yours. So basically,
Mm.
okay, what is the best advice that you got so far?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think the best advice that I had was very early on in my career, and that it was to be open to opportunities. So it was to, I think it's really tempting, especially when you've got a job and you've kind of got that first foothold, to sort of rest on your laurels and sit back and not really look for anything else, right? Job hunting is exhausting, I get it. But I think always be open to the opportunities, always be open to conversations, always be open to, just understanding when someone reaches out to you with something interesting, because it may not be for you right now, but it will help you build a network and help you build connections that are really valuable in your future career. So yeah, always be open to opportunities.
Yeah, and then like I think that makes sense also because like for our experience for me and Simo as well, uh it came out kind of like naturally. Like at the beginning we were like the first period of our time here in London, we were okay, we want to stay in London. London is the priority. We want to find a job in like consulting, investment banking, like that's the dream, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you want only that. Like that's the only job that you want to do. And then like after a while you're like, okay, maybe that's not the right path. Like we have to be open to kind of like everything. And now like if you ask me
Yeah,
where do you want to work, I'm like, well, like if it's Japan tomorrow I can leave. Like I'm ready to go there as well. So
yeah,
so I think like it totally changed also our mindset, I guess. And like I agree that maybe that's the right mindset. Like at our age, like where there are so many opportunities outside, so everything will be like a learning experience. At least I hope.
absolutely.
So yeah, we totally agree with that. And then yeah, and then like maybe like one tool that you cannot like live without nowadays. Like it could
Oh
be
gosh,
AI, it could
just one.
be everything. Yeah, maybe it could be like also like bringing your dog to the office, which can be like not a tool because that's not a nice way of of calling, but that can be like something to that give like extra value.
Yeah, I think there's two things. I'm going to go for a
Okay,
serious one, which is Claude. I honestly can't live
okay.
without Claude now. I don't know. I find it hard to imagine life without Claude, which is
Yeah, we agree. We agree. Like we totally agree with that.
Yeah. And then the second one, honestly, is lunch at the office. Game changer. Like totally, it's a honestly, it's a startup thing, but also a very embedded part of Danish culture that you get a catered lunch every day at the office. And it takes so much just mental load off your plate to not have to think about what I'm going to have for lunch every day. Super helpful. I honestly don't think I could go back to a job without it.
That's amazing. Tell to us that we are Italian, so we can relate that.
True.
Yeah. Then, what is one thing that you will tell to your 22 years old self, and what is that piece of advice that you tell yourself back in the days?
Ooh, that's a really great question. Um, I think it's just to stay passionate. I am really lucky that I've been able to have really interesting roles throughout my career that have been connected to things that I've been really excited about at the time. Um, and that has led me to have a lot of passion and a lot of excitement for my work. And it's not always, there are always some days where that passion dips, right? And that excitement dips a little. But I think in the long run, that's been something that's really fueled me throughout my career. So I think, yeah, I would tell her to definitely stay passionate, because that is something that keeps you going when it's rough, and when you're not having a good week, and when you're not hitting your targets, and when everything feels like it's a struggle. That passion really, really helps you moving through it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Also because it goes back to what Ale said. Basically, choosing the career path that someone else was dreaming, like consulting or finance, is not what is ideal for everyone, because it probably is not your passion. So basically, you go to work, don't really feel that passion that you feel probably in your job.
Yeah.
Then last thing, is Kiku hiring right now, and or do you plan to hire in the next months?
Yeah, we are hiring right now. We're currently hiring another product engineer to come work in our team. So it's very much a software engineering role, not my area of expertise. So don't ask me for a more technical explanation than that. But you can find that role on our LinkedIn or by contacting one of our team. Yeah, we're looking for very talented engineering folks to come join our team at the moment. And in the near future, I think, yeah, time will tell. We're a growing startup, so there's always going to be room for new members of the team and people who are kind of aligned to our vision and our work ethic.
I mean, like, I think we were not then lucky. Like, I'm sure like there are going to be many engineers out there, but we were like trying to do this question to maybe like then apply for this job, so like have more probability. Like that's the reason why we do this podcast. Like, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
guys. Like to be honest and transparent is to find a job, but no. But like, beside the jokes, like definitely you guys should go like to check the website, and then I think like they can maybe also reach out to people from your team on LinkedIn,
exactly.
and there are definitely like many opportunities growing from now on. And then like maybe like just another like last question was to like if you have like a name of like another person working on another startup, can be like totally different, can be another sector, can be also like in your team as well, like another people that you think that we should like do the interview, that they have very interesting things to share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a colleague, Dragos Petria. He is working at Electricity Maps now. And he has had a super interesting career, very passionate about climate change, and he's kind of applied that to pretty much every decision he's made in his career. So definitely worth chatting with him about that.
That's great. We will definitely do. And yeah, I mean, like I think we are on time, so we can like
Awesome.
finish this episode. And yeah, I mean, like I think first of all, like thank you so much for like the many insights you share with us. Like the reason why we do this type of podcast is not because we want to find a job that can be like maybe come in another time, but like we want to like learn from people that or are already like doing something super cool around Europe. So I think we definitely like got the right person today, and we are sure like
Awesome.
also like the company Kiku, you guys like from us from candidate perspective, that's definitely like a super useful tool, and we wish like every company would use Kiku every day. But yeah, like thank you so much like for having a chat with us today. And yeah, like see you next time. Hopefully like
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll be in contact.
Yeah,
Thank you
sounds
very
good.
much.
Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.